Stu and the Nunn, an online radio show and podcast focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We're here to give you an honest opinion, a different perspective, and hopefully a few laughs. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on our chat room, via our Facebook page, and of course, on Twitter. Keep it funky.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Stu and the Nunn. The Stu is not here because some of us actually have to earn their livings. Some days it's his turn, some days it's my turn. But as you see, I replaced him. I've replaced him because I can do that. I brought the producer back. So it's always great to have our in-studio producer. The guy that actually, he's like Jamie for us. You know, he's our Jamie. He finds us things, obscure internet facts. He's got his phone all ready to go. Like, he's a guy. And of course, returning, as always, my main man, my doctor, the doctor.
Number 55 in your programs, number 1 in your heart.
Number 1 in my heart. Dr. Mike Simpson. And we are excited to have you because we have a bunch of really cool things to kind of go over tonight. And thanks for pulling in the slack. I know you're in between trips. You've been on the road and you're getting ready to go overseas. So we always appreciate you taking time to come a couple blocks away and hop into the Southern studio.
Always a pleasure.
But a lot of neat, interesting things going on. So we've already planned out kind of some of the things we want to talk about, but I'm going to throw a ringer in there. I'm going to start off with an interesting thing because we have a cool perspective going on right now. We've got a 30-year plus special operation, straight leg, dirty, nasty, now fat infantry dude. Super intelligent guy, killing it in the tech world. So, I should probably be on that end. Intelligence, but I'm bringing this up because you guys are both super intelligent dudes. Both have wealth of experience, breadth of experience, different fields. Medical field, you in technological. Me in the bullshit field. A letter was written from Microsoft employees to the leadership of Microsoft saying that they need to stop working on a project that helps dismounted infantry soldiers do their job because it will lead to the harming of human beings, is for the purpose of warfare, and will help infantry kill people. So first of all, I would like to give kudos to Microsoft employees for identifying that dead bodies come from them.
Yeah. Hey, artillery, suck it.
That's right. Like, the Queen all of a sudden is in charge. King of Battle, not so much today. So it's all about the guys on the ground. And so, I found that it's really interesting. We were talking just before we came on air, Logan podcast, talking about Twitter and talking about how the tech world kind of in a certain way or feel a certain way or control the narrative a certain way. And I think this is very indicative of that we have a bunch of guys, and you and I on Mind of the Warrior, we talked about
absolutely.
We talked about how we need these guys and gals on our team. The battlefield now is more than 3-dimensional. It's 4-dimensional if you know the cyber aspect. We need these guys on our team. But the mentality that warfare is taboo. Of course, warfare. No one here wants. But again, it depends who it's against, right? There's some people that deserve a little warning.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we're not advocates.
No.
Your motto is do no harm, but
do
no
harm.
harm.
Right.
Like to survive the peace, you must prepare for war. Like I'm not going to quote heavy metal lyrics, but there's a reality that if you enjoy the lifestyle that we have, it's not because we write letters to our boss, having moral judgments that make it possible. This project in particular is in position because of what happened in Niger. They believe that if they had this device in Niger, that they would have known that there was an imminent ambush. They would have known the extent of the battlefield, and we would not have lost 4+ great American assets and treasures. But we have some kids, trying to take the moral high ground. So,
And they have
you work in tech.
They have the luxury of doing so. And I'm not.
Why do they have that luxury?
Well, and I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to. It's a little bit too easy to fall back on. You have the luxury of doing that because of the infantry guys putting their life on. Because I don't want this to turn into the Jack Nicholson speech.
No, that's one-dimensional.
Yeah.
That's very one-dimensional. Yeah. But why do they have... And I'm not... So you want to look at fundamentally, they have it because of the guy on the wall. You don't want to know the guy.
Right, I didn't. Right. Yeah, I didn't want to turn it into that.
No, I'm trying to scratch a little deeper than that.
Well, they have a little more of a luxury now.
Yes.
And
that's
20 years ago, and I've been in IT for 20 years ago, I wouldn't have told whomever I'm not doing opposed to that ideology, opposed to what that's gonna do. Today, in social justice, social environment we have, not uncommon.
So I see this a lot, like the conversation. Everything you need to know about life.
Literally. Comics
and movies.
Okay.
So
I haven't read a Batman movie yet.
This is very much, or watching movie. This is very much like conversation Batman had with Lucas Fox. So he never said, "I'm not going to give you something that can do X or Y or Z." When it got to the point of, "I'm going to use everybody's cell phones to monitor every single conversation in Gotham City," that's a line I will not cross, Mr. Okay, I can understand that. We're not asking these people to weaponize smallpox. We're not asking them to make cluster mines that we're going to indiscriminately drop into countries and they're going to kill little kids.
We're talking about code.
Yeah.
We're talking about dashes and O's.
Yeah. I liken their objection to that is not a far stretch from saying, I'm not going to work for a company that makes body armor, because if you have body armor, you're going to be alive to shoot. I mean, I think that's how far you can lead this direction. Nobody, and we know that many of the academicians who on the Manhattan Project went on to either commit suicide or just have terrible, terrible lives fraught with guilt, because what was a really interesting academic exercise for them turned into Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they carried that with them. And I understand, nobody's asking you to. You need to. They're looking at this in too much of a vacuum, too much in terms of absolutes. And you and I have talked about this before. I think we live in a time now where everybody wants to see everything as absolutes. Either you worship Donald Trump or you hate Donald Trump.
Yeah, there is no
middle ground.
Yeah.
There is no middle ground. Either you believe that a guy with a beard down to his navel can use the girls' restroom. Right? Either you believe that,
Or you don't.
So that's how they're painting one extreme, right? Okay, you think that's okay. Then the other, you think that's okay, is we should round up people with gender dysphoria or trans people and put them in camps and try to re-educate them or lobotomize them. There's no middle ground. There's gray area, there's nuance, there's middle ground to all these things. These texts, and they're very technical people. So they're used to seeing, like you say, ones and zeros. They're used to seeing things in terms of ones and zeros. And this is not a 1 and 0. This is hexadecimal. This is not binary.
Well, at the end of the day, Microsoft is not.
Right.
It's going to get done.
Yeah.
It just won't get done by Microsoft.
Right.
And Microsoft, on the scale of things, it's not Microsoft for 20 years. Technology has expanded. The number of companies is going to get done.
I believe wholeheartedly it is going to get done. I think Microsoft probably can too. But I did find it interesting, and I really...
Or they'll just buy the company.
That's it. Yeah.
And what these guys probably don't know is, hey, guess what? In the special operations community, we've been taking your shit off the shelf for decades and making a little tweak here and a little tweak there, and it does exactly what the fuck we want.
Yeah.
So there's that.
No, but I thought it was interesting because when I read it, I kind of took it as, and I read the letter, and in my mind, I had this kid in a basement. I say a basement, I'm not talking about a
Hot Pockets!
Nah. No, like, I had the honor, the pleasure of doing some speaking for Rackspace a couple years ago. I got to go down there, at the mall, San Antonio. You go down the basement, it's all dark.
Ride the slide?
I did ride the slide, and I also did the gondola thing. But the guys writing code and doing that stuff and working on whatever it is that they were, the projects, it was all cloud stuff. They're down in the dark because, they're trying to take the lumens out of their, and it's, so when I say basement, I'm not insinuating the guys down calling for me. But they were looking at it like they were taking the rounds out of the bandolier, rubbing it, bacon fat, taking it. That's how I took how they wrote it. Not that, the reason you can run your mouth is because someone gave you life and something. There's some truth to that, but I think that's very super.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I was going, it's think that the little thing that you're doing as part of this is doing that. You're creating some abomination. You're doing some kind of blasphemous. You're participating in an activity that is beyond the pale. And I think that's due to a naivety of what the pale actually is. Beyond the reach for us is not that far. It's very realistic. It's very, very much right here. But it's not fantastical. It's not based in some narrative that at the beginning of a video game. It's not based in some narrative at the closing of a movie. It's just based on life, based on the conversations that we've had with our, you've had conversations, other people probably be like, oh, life. And I don't just mean from combat, but as a doctor, talking to a doctor, you have this conversation that's, to nuanced to your professions. When you have conversations with people within the tech industry, you talk about things in tech that, people are like, oh, well, that's, you can hack into. You have access to that. That's permanent. Whatever the terminology is, you have access to that. That is there forever. I had someone trying to explain blockchain to me, and I was taking notes, and this exists. Then I bought a bunch of cryptocurrency on the Cash App. But no, I found it very interesting that I felt that they went from one little thing of ones and dipping bloods in pork fat, and that's how I felt. And and I found it interesting. And the reason I brought it up is I knew that we could actually have the conversation without it boiling back to, well, if you're speaking English, better. If you have like it's not right. Like you knew exactly where. Like it's interesting how our culture has accepted like that polar, and it's tribalism.
Yeah, well,
It's like, oh well, you're on this team, therefore, like, and like we engage with people in all kinds of different. My business mentor, one of the smartest dudes I've ever met, infantry guy, is a staunch Democrat, and like he's allowed to have that opinion. Didn't make him any less of a warfighter. He's a freaking stud. But it's like you're allowed to have different opinions, and it's not like there's some things we're going to talk about here in a little bit that Trump has done that you're like, awesome, dig it. There's some things he's done that you're like,
not so cool.
Not with you on that one, homie. But that should be okay. And like disagreement's not disloyalty.
No, and I have some I'm considered. I am the gun-toting, beard-wearing veteran. Most people will say that's what's a conservative. What's a conservative Texan look like? That guy.
Yeah.
Right. I have
5'11s.
Yeah, I'm wearing 5'11 pants and Merrells. I have progressive opinions, very progressive opinions,
absolutely,
on a lot of issues. That some ways you could say, oh, that's very progressive. Some ways you'd say that's very libertarian.
Yeah.
Some ways you'd say that's very conservative. Recently I had Pat Miletich on the podcast recently, and I've been posting on social media a lot. It has to do with vaccinate. Pat and I don't agree on that, and we agree on a lot of things. A good friend of mine, Trevor Prangley, he and I don't agree on it. But I'm also very torn, and I don't want to turn this podcast into that issue. So that's an issue that I'm really torn because I know what the science is, and I also want that crazy anti-vaxxer with pink hair and an 8th grade education be able to write her mom blog that's always wrong, because that's her First Amendment right. Yeah. And I don't think we should be silencing. Does it drive me crazy that people follow that? Yes, but that's our First Amendment right, and it is hard for me to look somebody in the eye and go, no, if you don't vaccinate your kids, we're going to come take you. I don't like. What I would rather say is, why don't you hang out with me for the day, and I'll convince you that all the reasons you hate vaccines are wrong, all the reasons vaccines are good are real, and now you're educated and you do it. Tell people that are in your anti-vax group to do it. I would much rather do that than say, no, we're going to do away with that choice.
No, you're using like the anti-vax
just
as an example.
Yeah, just
and I'm going to use the music example of Rage Against the Machine. And I could turn some Rage Against the Machine up and bang my head. I could like my steering wheel, and I could get all kinds of motivated. Whatever it is I'm going to do. And then I'll listen to the lyrics, and I'll be like, oh,
well then.
That doesn't really describe me. That doesn't politically represent me. But I can still like their music. And I can still say that Tom Morello is one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Like, you can have this area. And I think, like, we're really missing it. But I'm going to take a hard left, go down.
Oh, we could.
We could go down that hole.
We could rabbit hole.
But before we go down, I want to tell you, like, really excited about the show. I'm really excited about going your podcast. You've had some amazing guests on there. One of my favorites was about a month ago. That dude was awesome.
Nunn? Yeah.
But no, like I love Shane. I love Shane's voice, and when I say his voice, the actual like tone of it, I mean the spirit from which Pat Militich, I met him in the parking garage, leaving back in the day. I was with Mick.
That has the potential of being very scary. Ran into Pat Miller.
No, like I really wanted to meet him,
Yeah.
and he was commentating, and it was an interesting night. It was him, Alistair Overeem, and Ranello doing. At the time, it was the Legacy Fighting Championship, and LFC. It was Nick Maynard was running it, and like I really wanted to meet. What's that? A lot of people wanted to meet Alistair Overeem. Like Nick was gracious enough to like kind of help set it up, but like Pat was like in a hurry to get out. Did his job, and then he on to the next thing. He had to fly out that night, go do something else. So it was real cool, but real brief, and like he's an interesting cat. He's like one of the pioneers. Guys coming out of Bettendorf, Iowa. They've done some amazing things in the sport of it. He, like being like original Croatian guy. Everyone, when you say Croatian fighter, everyone goes to Pro Cop.
Yeah, you can't now. You can't swing a dead cat in any organization. Yeah, you're right. He was the original.
He was the original. He wasn't a big dude.
No.
He was just a hard, scrappy guy. Yeah. And like you go back and listen to some of his interviews back in the day, where out there, cows, college, because and it's just like. So I was excited to see that he was that he's on that podcast, and like you're really pulling some great voices from. But we'll get more. I really want to talk about Senator Rand Paul. He is introducing a bill, sponsoring a bill into the Senate that, in spirit and by declaration, is calling for an end to the war in Afghanistan. And with this declaration of victory, there will become a bonus of $2,500 for every veteran that deployed in cause for the global war on terror. We put this up on our Facebook probes. Got some really interesting direct messages because people. I was kind of bummed out. I really wish they would have shared some of their commentary in comments because we were really hoping to let some of these people engage in dialogue. In some of the comments that were direct message was really split. There were some that were like, hell yeah, pay me my dollars. And then there was put that money to better. Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I got a essay lecture. And I really, and I think I'll probably do it. Send it to Military Affairs office, Senator Paul's office. It was really well done. It was well written out. I'm not going to steal that person's thunder, I believe. But yes, it's like, who thinks that they deserve cash bonus?
So my first thought on that whole couple of problems. Starting at the other end of that, starting with, we're going to declare victory.
I self-identify as a winner.
Yeah, exactly. So we have, but there are 102 people in this. Sad that I don't. So, because it's DC there, but they don't. I don't remember. Okay.
And you have the president.
So there's
Senate,
50
the
states. It's technically 100. Yeah, it's like whatever it is, 101, 102. I don't know how many in Congress. Yeah, but guess who else gets to vote? Fucking Taliban gets
yes
too.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
And then they've been voting
and
pretty
they've
hard.
been voting. Yeah. They pull that lever. Okay, so
Figuratively and literally.
yeah, you don't get that's the old military saying is the enemy gets a vote. You don't get to declare victory. This isn't like this isn't like the Kaiser or the Chancellor or the near or the whatever surrendering to us. Okay? This is not that type of war.
There's no guy on the deck of a carrier right
no,
now.
yeah, there's no ceremony that's going to be signed. So you can't just do that. Okay, Senator Paul, like his father, they're very libertarian. Some would call them isolationists, non-interventionists. Right? They don't want us going around doing bad things to bad people because they think, hey, we should fair stuff in. I see that argument. I see the merits in it. It's appreciated. Okay, I've seen what happens in countries where you don't take an active. What takes root there? What fills that vacuum? ISIS. I mean, so this is Central and South America. It's when the Soviet Union fell, and we suddenly had access to places we got rid of the Stalinist. We had access to Peru. A lot of that Soviet mentality was still there in places. We could do a whole show just talking about post-Cold War Peru. So I've seen what happens when we're not interventing enough, and I understand. Yeah, we got a lot of problems here. I agree with the spirit. I think his heart is in the right place. I don't know if that's a practical world that I don't think we can ignore what's going on the other side of the globe, because I think we did that for 8 years. President Bill. I think chickens came home to roost because we ignored a lot of really big warning. And when in the words of Bill Clinton, came to Osama bin Laden, well, if Interpol's not going to take care of it, I guess no. That's a direct quote. We told Interpol where he was. They didn't want it. Okay, we had him narrowed down to a 2-block area. That's where that road leads. That's the front end of that. I think that's problematic. Back end, I think, is exactly what you said. Number one, if that happened tomorrow, I would send my check back, or I would find through you probably. I would find a veteran who needed that money, and say, make sure you cash it, and say, here's the cash, you give it to him, because I'm gonna, do I want more money? I'm trying to get a patent on a couple of medical devices now, and
But you want it that way.
I got back burners like.
Yeah.
Okay, but
you want it that way,
right? I'm not owed anything for
that.
Okay, they gave me tuition assistance undergrad. They paid for my medical school. Okay, my son is going to go to Texas A&M, Big Maggie's, on the post 9/11. Yeah, I had a 50-50 shot, right? Any room in Texas, you got a 50-50 shot.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. So, I don't have any complaints about the reciprocity that I got from my service. I gave for my care. I've been well taken care of. Not every veteran can. And also, how are we going to parcel that out? Are we going to say, literally there's people out there that their toughest war story when the ice cream bar in Balad ran out of sprinklers. Okay? Let me tell you something. If you went on a 6 to 9 month deployment and learned how to salsa dance, don't ever talk to me. Okay? I'm just going to put that out there. Not all deployments are created equal. Not everybody deployed the same number of times. Not everybody paid the same.
So, you and I are thinking about this on very similar paths. One, we'll go to the front end. I've been in a couple of scraps in my life. The earliest lesson I learned about fighting, father, there's a victor.
Yeah.
But everybody loses. So don't celebrate. Do better at it. If that's going to be your skill set, train harder, be better. Limiting the amount of damage that. To just push a guy pushes you back, play yourself away. That's not being honest. It's disingenuous. And for us to claim victory on that battlefield specifically, definitely disingenuous. And that's like someone going back, signing a bill today saying that we won in Vietnam. It's disingenuous. Yeah, there were battles that we were highly successful at, battles that we were highly successful at in Afghanistan. There's guys at Cop Blessing that would disagree with you. Battle of Wanat that would disagree with you. You know, like, there's overall, I don't know if you plant that flag. Now, the world is a better place because of the world is a better and safer place because of the lessons learned, action taken. But I don't think you can arbitrarily just say, I self-identify as a woman. Because that's kind of how I took it. The other side, we'll go to the money. Talk about salsa. Veteran community, cutthroat. You're going to have, and we're going to talk about doors and potential like precedents. So if everybody gets $2,500, regardless of what you did, you are then setting the precedent that there should be payment for other things. So like now so if you just served, got a victory bonus of $2,500, well therefore I got a medal. Get a bonus.
I've been on the DMZ in Korea.
Shouldn't
Maybe I should get something for that.
Shouldn't I? You know, like outside the hazardous duty pay, like, oh yeah, like I was awarded something. And, you know, the thing is, like, I got the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary. Therefore, that equates to $2,500. Therefore, like, I'm sure, I remember being at a movie with you one time and someone slid an envelope across the table. I think that envelope was probably worth 10 grand.
Yeah.
if we're looking at it in the value of a medal awarded, or a comment line, or a time served on a DD-214. And the precedence, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. The precedent of, we have people that did things that have earned more than $2,500, and the money was there. We'll talk about a little guy, a little bit taller than us, call him little, but we'll just say a gentleman, a distinguished gentleman from the state of Montana named Earl. I mean, how many millions is he owed for the bounty on Bin Laden?
There were multiple people putting out bounties. He never collected any of that.
Our country put out a bounty. The United States government had a bounty on Bin Laden. So, like, as Jesse James would say, pay up, sucker. Like, Mr. O'Neill has a claim. Every guy that was on that mission has a claim. Every guy that was part of the 4th Infantry Division unit found Saddam Hussein has a claim. Everybody that's earned a medal has a claim. And like,
what about the families of those that didn't come back?
Now, like,
give them a check.
So, like, now we have, like, you know, the death gratuity, the death benefit, and its value, like, which is has grown substantially, and I believe that as a community, as a government, we do our best to take care of Gold Star. I know it doesn't always appear that way. There's, you know, like, constantly, you know, articles recirculating about bodies being dropped in landfills, and, you know, like, but when it comes to, like, casualty assistance, we do a better job than in the past. We've made leaps and bounds, and I'll never disrespect the people that have to escort those bodies, do what they do, help get those funds, and the people that pushed yay on their vote button to make sure that that amount went up. Like, I'm appreciative. But what's the precedent? A victory bonus of $2,500? One, you don't need that. a wonderful victory, wonderful survival bonus would be you're going to give $2,500, which I think it tallies up $7 billion total. I believe the number that's in his bill. Right? No, like he's very
tight.
he's very fiscally like tight. Is definitely one of the nation's better stewards. But like $7 billion, what could we do with that $7 billion versus passing out these bonuses?
When I first heard this, knowing what little I know, the very first thing that came to mind, everything has to have an actual. Can't stop or start anything without some. We do know there's things start and stop. So there has to be something with it in order to not necessarily declare victory, but to say we're going to put a halt to like no more combat troops. But so that something has to be. Now the 2,500. I don't know where he came up with that.
Who in his office is like, hey boss, I think this is a good.
It's an odd amount to me. It's. I'm sure there's veterans out there that could absolutely use it. Also, not really enough for some of these guys to catch up on bills that they're credit. It's not really
barely a vehicle down.
Barely, yeah, barely. So I don't know where that came from, but it's going to be a mixture. I think that dealing with that money gave.
So like a lot of the people that actually wrote in, there was some cool memes put up on commentary. The well thought out answer. But there's people that when you look at comments about social media, you see like that quick comment, and you understand it's a funny meme. When someone actually takes the time to type out, like, okay, I'm going to take the time to read it, probably a lot more thought into that. There's probably a little bit more research put into it. So, like, $7 billion into the VA could do 1 to 2 tasks. Like, I'm being realistic. I'm looking at the largest governmental, looking at what it actually takes to get some democracy. How many people that money has to touch, and when I say touch, I mean in terms of salary, in terms of consulting, research, like $7 billion. There is that. There is that. Yeah. But in terms of fixing a bureaucratic system, a huge institution, that's really not a ton. So like, but I think it could fix 1 or 2 things. But what are those 1 or 2 things that you go after that are realistic? And I want to ask you this because you not only deal in medicine direct to patient, you also deal in medicine in terms of administration. You deal, you work in several different medical systems. You're not just a one hospital guy. The past year, you've probably worked with hospitals. You've gone around the world dealing in medicine in different locations. So, like, I want your medical perspective as a practitioner, but also as an administrator, or from a administrative perspective. But I also want your perspective on it, because, like, one of the greatest challenges they have, Shinseki tried tackling, was going paperless, and making a technological advance in the VA. And so I'm like, I got two smart guys here together.
I can tell you what the answer.
Let's go.
So-
$7 billion.
so-
Let's
so-
see if we can make it happen.
It's a three-pronged problem. Paper system in the VA, you have an electronic medical record system, and you have an electronic medical record system. Active DoD does not communicate. So the trick is, I want to know, come to your first VA appointment. I want to be able to access that MRI.
Right. Yeah.
Where the problem gets fixed, my opinion, is actually not in the VA. It's in DoD. Here's the problem in DoD. DoD is, we all have that female family. We don't all. Many of us have that female family member who was in that abusive relationship, kept trying to change them, never could change. Right? So that's the relationship that DoD has with the electronic medical record. Okay? It's called ALTA. It's an abusive spouse. Keep trying to fix it. Can't be fixed. Unfixed. The reason, we've known this for years, but the thing is they say, well, we can't go on to anything else. Because they have to come up with something. They got to build it products. They got to build it from the ground up, and it has to be military firewall, which it doesn't really, because we're not putting classified. That's a fallacy.
HIPAA?
And and fallacy number, which all EMRs are built for. Fallacy number 2 is it has to be able to communicate with the old system. We need to say we're not married to that. That we're just going to have to burn it to the ground. We're going to have to accept the fact that everybody's going to know 2 passwords for 2 different systems. Hey, guess what? In about 2 years, you're going to find out, hey, I'm not looking in the at all. Because it's already been translated in notes. Now we can just move on and not look back. Guys and girls that are coming in the Army now will never have the old. Need to forget. Alta's going to be, it's still going to be around for another 10 years as a reference. Oh shit, guys, old stuff. There's that one machine that logs into it.
Where's the microfiche?
Yeah, exactly. Where's the microfiche? Right? Because we remember,
Yeah.
some of us are old enough to remember when you had to get your microfiche.
Yeah.
And the disaster that we went to
Yeah.
when OERs and NCOERs became electronic. Oh my God, it was the end of the world. And I'm sure you can relate to all of this as a tech guy.
And I actually used to work for for their service. So I saw some big separation. I had to go log in here to do this. I have to log in here, log in here. And
Because you have
Bansi at the
CHS
time,
1, CHS 2, which became Alta, all that crap.
and Bansi was paperless, and it was still
Except paperless everywhere, except the ER.
except the year.
Because there was and that's another thing, is none of the current systems, and the thing is there's a ton of good EMRs out there that they could just adopt. Okay? And, Epic is the one that I'm most comfortable with. They could just adopt Epic and get a government contract and adopt it, say this is what we're using. And so when I use Epic, I log on to a Baylor Scott & White computer and I'm using Epic, I can see every note, every ER visit that person's had, every image that person's had, every prescription, every time they've called in for advice. And you can also all email each other right on Epic. If you're watching and you work for Epic, in my opinion, that's Meditech, fuck you. Right?
Heard it here first, Meditech.
Fuck you, Meditech. All right, Meditech is the devil. Those are 2 big problems. So I think, that would be one thing we could think money. And on the surface, it looks like that's not really helping people. Oh, it is.
So, can we migrate these systems and have them interface?
Bureaucracy is probably what.
But could you do it for $7 billion?
The firewalling issue was probably more about bureaucracy. It's about, well, no, these are our policies. And I'll give you a great example. When Bansi was being built, Cat 3 was the standard. Cabling. Cat 5 came out. Cat 5, change what you're doing. The engineer said, my plan say Cat. You're getting Cat 3. You can rewire the hospital. And we had permanent crew.
Millimeters in difference?
Well, get speed.
Right, but I'm just saying from an engineer
and
aspect.
There was costs associated. But
the same term.
We had a permanent crew on staff going floor to floor, rewiring that entire hospital. Because the head of engineering said, my plan say Cat 3, we're not changing.
So they put in Cat 3.
Put in Cat 3 and
then
we
they had
rewired
to
the
go
whole
Cat 5,
thing.
Cat 5,
Cat 5, floor by floor.
It was the same when they built the new Saab TV at Fort Bragg. It was the exact same way. Is they midway through building it, technology took a leap forward. And actually, it was not only for the Saab TV, but when they built what was originally called the app, the new academic. They said we can't change anything. If we change anything in the first 2 years, the warranty on the whole building is null and void. So it's flat screen TVs we can mount on whatever wall. No, we're wheeling a fucking tube TV from room to room to watch video on, or we're using a one-eye projector because we can't change anything. I mean that type of bureaucracy, what hamstring. That's when people hear me talk shit about the VA. I know some doctors and nurses. They are great people. This is nothing about the people that are working there wanting. It's all about the stupid bureaucracy.
Well, I feel you because we're talking about something right now that if it was in place, my VA. So putting some of my personal business. I still have some shrapnel training exercises. Well documented. Have all paper, Darnell, where there. The VA won't even give me for it because the records don't match up.
Right.
Because I have complete records. It's can't even get an appointment. If these systems are migrated, they'd be like, oh well, yeah, I do get this time, this range. Yeah, there's no dude in a parking lot injecting shrapnel.
Yeah.
They're in parking lots injecting different things into each other.
It's 2019. Don't go there.
Yeah. No, how dare I assume?
Yeah.
How dare I assume? But this. I think this is a good thing. 7, take some money. And
technology wise, there's nothing you can't do. You can't do. You can't do that.
And I gotta believe, and maybe it's my naivety, but $7 billion should be able to hire a contractor. Perhaps these Microsoft guys would be.
Yeah.
It's
going to be in the VA hospital. It's not going to be killing anybody.
Yeah, it'll be helping people and build something to do some good. So outside of that, is there anything else that you think that money is? I know when you say a number that starts with a B, you think that you're the richest person on earth and you're going to fly from town to town. In terms of what we're doing, it's really not that much. And what we're talking about, is there anything outside of that you would attack? Is there a task that you get in?
Anything you can. Number one thing you hear. Why do you have such a? Because you have probably a lack of doctors, a lack of physicians, lack of or how do you do anything you can do to reduce the wait time, whether it's technology, whether it's pre-screening, whether it's adding more bodies to it, outsourcing, anything you can do like that would be a huge.
Herein, I think, lies part of the problem. Because, so for me, 100% disabled. So I don't know if I'm on the top of the queue, but I get all of my stuff through. But really, there's nothing that I get even out of the service store that I need to go to that it needs to be VA. If I decide to live in Italy tomorrow, I can go to any general practitioner in Italy who had never even heard of the war, and they can take care of me. Just I don't have any unique things that it's like we are following you as a TBI data point, following you as a burn pit data point. Okay?
Which are
very important.
Burn pit, especially, is a very
burn
unique.
Pit, TBI, PTSD, anybody with a prosthesis. Okay, our buddy Crispy, anybody like that.
Very
they
specific.
need to be getting all of their care. He actually goes San Antonio with most of his stuff. Yeah. So I don't think he'd mind me saying.
He says it on.
Yeah. They could make more room for the guys that we know have. This is an issue the VA needs to take care of, and that's I think been a little over a year. President Trump expanded.
Yes.
Enough. We didn't thought about that.
A lot of people don't. Yesterday about help cure the VA soon.
Yeah.
Like
we were talking about.
Even Paul Rykoff agreed.
Yeah, Paul Rykoff's running for office. You don't resign from the company that you created to get you in political office unless you're ready to run.
And here we.
Yeah, here we go. We almost made it a whole episode without talking about Paul.
And we're not.
Yeah, we're not. So, but get guys like me, farm us out.
Right. Yeah.
And make more room for those guys that need it, and that's going to reduce wait time. And it's something I think we also need. And I'm not going to mention his. I get emails, text, Facebook messages, Instagram messages. Vets that I know, vets that I don't know. Hey man, what do you think about this? I got put on this med. I got put on that med. And I'm like, whoa, pump brakes. This is a problem. And it's because the time is so limited, it's like, I'm listening. I have a gazillion things that it's mandatory that I check off on this. By the time I'm done checking off all those things, when I go to my visit, they've been home, drinking, smoking, all this. Then we've got 2 minutes to talk about why I'm there. That's okay for me. That's not okay for some of these. Some of these guys that might be seeing one person for their TBI, one person for their chronic pain, one person for their PTSD, another person for their sleep apnea. They're not cross-talking. And I saw a lot of this in the early days at BAMC when before all these guys had been released to the VA, still trying to take care of them on active duty.
We had guys pass away from overdose in the barracks.
Yes. Well, and we also, so this was another thing that we had that was very concerning, right? Not going to talk about the opioid epidemic in the episode, but a lot of guys getting off the opioids, putting on tramadol. Tramadol by itself, pretty good drug, lower side effect profile, their pain. Hey, guess what? A lot of these guys still dealing with psych issues and some depression, worse kind of depression. Depression mixed with anxiety, right? So it's not just I'm in my room with the lights out and don't want to come out. I'm agitated too. Good medicine for that, Wellbutrin. That's what both of those drugs do. Lower your seizure threshold. But guess what we started seeing a rash of in the BAMC? Seizures. On tramadol from Dr. A, on Wellbutrin from Dr. B. Okay? So we need, anytime somebody is seeing multiple individuals, we need a physician. We used to have, on the ICU, on the intensive care unit, we used to have what we call multidisciplinary. Pulmonologist, cardiologist, nephrologist. All right, what are you doing for his kidneys? What are you doing for his lungs? What are you doing for his heart? Holy shit, we just identified 2 drugs that are going to kill him.
Right, and that's what I was actually talking about, the accidental overdoses.
Right.
Was the confliction of medicines.
Yeah.
And there was no deconflicting.
Yeah.
There was like, well, Dr. A, best thing to give a guy for this is this. Dr. B's, the best thing to give a guy for this is that. but there isn't this.
And fortunately, in most EMRs now, I'll get a lockout when I try to put in prescription, right? But maybe he's going to Center for Intrepid and he's getting one prescription directly from pharmacy there at Center Intrepid, and whereas for me, he's going to fill it on the economy, right? So again, we're running into that same problem when the records don't. So I think in addition to the records meeting up, I think we need to have, if you're being seen in a multidisciplinary fashion, that there needs to be a physician who gets basically assigned to you. They have never seen you, but all he's doing is he's checking everybody else's work. And he's going, whoa, hey, I need to get Dr. A and Dr. B to talk to each other. They're going to kill them. And I've caught some of these in text messages. Hey, man, my doctor just put, whoa, didn't you tell me last time we were talking you were on this? You need to not take that and you need to get back in there. Like, oh, man, I'm really sorry. Hey, they're rushed. 15 minutes in and out. They don't. That's why we need some overtime. I think hiring physicians, we believe it or not, we have enough people to see the people visit. If we do what I'm talking about, in my opinion. But what we don't have enough of is somebody giving them. Fire a hospital administrator, okay, who does nothing, okay, and hire some, fire that clinic manager, whatever the fuck that means, PS12, and hire a physician overseer.
Like in business and corporations, have multiple entities working on project. You have project manager. Like you have a person in oversight that kind of looks at department A, department, and kind of like deconflicts production schedules, whatever like it might be, to make sure that it's a well-oiled machine. Sounds like.
How would you, almost shoving that bottleneck? How would you?
So,
because that's in a sense what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Wait times is a bottleneck.
That bottleneck wouldn't be a bottleneck that occurred in real time. Like the actual visits and prescription, everything still going on down here. That's an oversight. Yeah, that's an oversight. That's a. I sign up to do this job through the VA as a physician. I'm doing it via telephone. So every day I log on my computer. I've got email. You have a new patient. Not really my patient. I'm not. Okay. Scrub his med list. Scrub his vital signs from visit. How it trends. How he's describing things. Becoming more frequent. Okay. And I'm going to submit a report based on polypharmacy. I'm going to be like a quality control guy. So this is awesome. And I'm going to slip an inspected by number 12 thing in the shirt pocket and send. So there won't be a bottleneck. But to me, this is something that above and beyond everything else is going to save lives and help. I think polypharmacy, medical interaction, terrible, deadly medical interaction, OD, and also make sure people, it's like, hey, this guy saw all three of his providers in a month. Very vague. That's a warning sign.
Yeah, no. Like,
he wants to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
That's not,
Right.
This is. There's something more going on. Things like that, and right now that's just happening. But it does have to be somebody with medical training. Right now we have a lot of quality control people in the VA that don't have, they're sending out surveys.
They know
and
verbiage,
calling.
but they don't.
Yeah, and their heart's totally in the right place, but they're not going to know.
Well, the road to hell's paved.
Hey, how's the audio?
Yeah, and like the just said something like you got one person seeing different providers month period. They really need to talk about something, help with something. This is a strong signal. Or B, like they they are putting up a signal that they're being abusive to this. And like, let's find out why. Oh, now we have someone that what they really need is to go into this treatment plan for like substance abuse. They need to go in treatment plan, whatever. Grow a pair, like you can identify these things. I really thought it'd be a cool exercise to kind of like walk through it because like overwhelmingly a lot of like well thought out responses that to our query about people bill was like the money, do something.
Yeah. A lot of that.
So here's what, not so Mike's not saying, but somebody might. You are for that, by definition, have to be all Harris.
Yeah, no,
Because how's
no,
it different?
it's the precedent is there. That's
And oh, by the way, you volunteered for the military. Okay.
the precedence is there, and I think that's the part that scares me about money aspect of it. I just think,
Someone
yeah, no,
I
mean, it just
I was a
belittles,
right,
yeah, it
yeah.
just belittles and diminishes the efforts that we're taking. The some of the proudest things we've done in our lives were involved in the military, and you can sit back, and this isn't for the glory of your family, glory of community, where you can just sit back and art, so that you did a good thing. But I'm not talking about kicking, or I'm like talking about walked a little girl across the street, like like help some pencils make their way to like kids that didn't have writing instruments. There are little things in your life that really make you proud. And yeah, I don't know what it is, but no matter which dogs of the
Oh yeah.
and they never like their host. That's like I want to write a book just on the phenomenon of dogs' reactions to Americans.
Americans are dog people.
Oh, we are.
So you would have got a kick out of this. I was trying to explain. I was on a video conference versus colleague Wales. I'm trying to explain to him the fascination.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What? Why do they do that? What?" And he goes, and they just put pictures of it up. He goes, "Is it a contest? What is it?" I go, "It's just a thing, man.
Yeah.
It's just a thing."
Because we can.
Yeah, because we can. America. Yeah.
And why I no longer live in Canada. No, that's not. I have anchor baby. No, I really appreciate, gentlemen, that you took the time on Thursday night.
I do have to say, I've never used my insight into the fact that I've got plenty of BAMC. I've been.
So it's like I was like you, and I finally broke down, and out of kind of a guilt from soldiers that I pushed to go get help, and they were like, "Hey, to be a good leader, you got to be a good follower. If you're going to advocate us to go do this, maybe you should go." And my experience has not been good.
I'm fortunate enough that I work.
And I've always kind of felt like, hey, there are guys that I would feel awkward walking in, and I know that there are guys that do something more, the blessings, benefiting, have other opportunities. But like it is one of the reasons we, in theory, respect and care about those who help provide security. Back when Washington You know, it's like did something, changed path and of this colony nation. You should pay attention, whatever the price might be. I think it's something that should continue to exist. Definitely be applied, but I am grateful that I just played in a hockey tournament out of town. A bunch of players, teams from got some really dialogue with some of them. They all said one thing: people treat veterans a lot different than whatever else they, be it the simple little thing at Lowe's, sign, a parking lot, either at a casino, whatever it might be, wherever you, there is respect, honor shown. While we think that there are things better in fight for, I would like to see it better because I don't like statistics. I don't like knowing that there's a number that's in double digits represent life. I don't like knowing that people are so desperate for help, so frustrated with lack of it. In a parking lot of where it should be a refuge, should be a safe haven, a place for hope. But
You go wheelchair back. God. And in addition, got shot in the neck and disarmed. If I say
yeah,
it's,
I mean, it's
the
out there.
struggle is a daily thing.
Yeah,
It's real.
But I really appreciate your time. Mind of the Warrior,
Mind of the Warrior.
iTunes.
Pretty much every Monday. iTunes, Podbase.
Yeah.
I think we're on pretty much it. Dr. Mike Simpson.
Yeah, I did see that. How's the wife doing? Good. She's
Doing
about,
good.
about to launch a book, right?
Denise is doing amazing things. So for those of you out there, so this is for anybody that needs any type of coaching. Most of our clients gravitate. He's a natural leader in everything he does. DrDeniseSimpson.com. Every day she's going on there doing videos.
I watched the live one
putting out
earlier today.
Just incredibly. I'm not supposed to. Just let me watch her. If I pop up, she gets allowed to watch her. So I have to creep in my own house and eavesdrop. I turn the volume down on Assassin's Creed, and I'm really listening to what's going on live. Watch right now. DrDeniseSimpson.com. So if you want to see why I'm not a total waste of space because of that. It was nothing. Feed me. And what's funny is I've had people who are my followers jump ship. Now they now don't pay attention to what I'm doing at all, and they're like signing up for all of her online courses and everything like that. And I was like the gateway drug. Right? Yeah. So I was the gateway Simpson.
I was just about to say, Bart's no longer the gateway Simpson.
No,
it's now
I'm the gateway Simpson.
But Rob, thanks for coming in and being the producer as always. Easy day for you. Didn't have to research too much. But appreciate everybody. We will see you next week. Troy will be back. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.